Hey y'all, sure been thinking about you. I'm curious, what role does accountability play in your life these days? Oh, this is episode 37, by the way. I know, it's been a while. I had just finished reading the book Atomic Habits, an easy and proven way to build good habits and break bad ones by James Clear. It's my second time reading it. There's so much good stuff in there, although still not sold on the easy part. I might go along with easier. We'll see. We'll see. But one of the things Claire brings up is the concept of accountability. Are you personally accountable to people in your life? And if so, who? For what purpose? Are others accountable to you? If so, who? And for what? How does accountability feel? Both being accountable and holding others accountable. Why is it important? Does it depend on how successful you are in your accountability? If you're holding someone else accountable, is it a chore or a privilege? It can be both of those things, right? Depending on the day, the relationship, and the interaction. As a life coach, my job is not to change anyone or try to persuade people that my perspective is best. We can look at options together, and ultimately, you get to choose for yourself. No one can tell you how to feel or how to live. As someone who spent years owning and managing business, this has been a major shift for me. In the past, much of what I did was about behavior change and conformity, convincing people doing something a certain way, the company way, was not only appropriate, but commendable. I grew up in churches like that too. So much has changed in my perspective since becoming a life coach. What I found is that a person's self concept and clarity of values has a lot to do with how successful they are or the lack thereof. How we think about life and the opportunities available to us is so important. It becomes our reference point for our capacity to move forward. You know, you can't steer a parked car, right? No matter how much you want to, if the car isn't moving, turning the wheel isn't going to help. Can't decide which direction is right for you? Yeah, me too. More often than I care to think about. One thing I've noticed though, and one of my coaches pointed out, it's crazy how we try to assign morality to our choices, as if what we want to do is either good or bad. Spoiler alert, most of the time it's neither. It's simply a choice. There are few legitimate moral decisions we face, and they rarely come up for most of us. Some of those might be lying, stealing, cheating on my partner, but really, in the grand scheme of things, how often are we ultimately faced with those types of decisions? And beyond that, our values are make most of those, if not all, a non-starter from the get-go. So yes, my values and ethics say don't lie. My values and ethics tell me not to steal. My values and ethics also guide me when it comes to being faithful to my partner. Now, look, your mileage may vary, and that's fine. As long as you understand that there are consequences to your actions, and as personal responsibility dictates, we're all faced with repercussions of our actions, good or bad, positive or negative. My point is, we all make tons of decisions every day. Some estimates say 35,000 a day. That's a really big number to try to wrap your head around. What am I going to wear today? What am I having for breakfast? Am I even eating breakfast? Yesterday I didn't. I had an early dentist appointment. Am I putting makeup on today? Today I did. Yesterday I didn't. What's for lunch? A hot dog, a smoothie, leftovers from dinner last night. I had a smoothie yesterday. One article I was reading in Psychology Today reminds us that lots of decisions we make are on autopilot. So much so, we don't even recognize them as decisions. My morning routine's a perfect example. I get up in the morning, I go to the bathroom, brush my teeth, put a robe on, walk downstairs to the kitchen, make coffee, check the weather, take my thyroid pill, let the dogs out, pour a cup of freshly brewed coffee, go out on the deck and read for an hour or so. It's comfortable and well worn. The biggest conscious decision I made this morning is whether I wanted Starbucks caramel macchiato creamer in my coffee or not. Today I did. Yesterday I didn't. Each action is a decision point. I'm free to change my mind and at any point, and there isn't one moral choice in the bunch. I say all this because it's sometimes easy to get wrapped up in the morality of our decisions. I see this a lot when it comes to money, careers and employment, social media habits, eating habits, and a host of other choices we make every day. I really like some of the tools Clear talks about when deciding how to implement a new habit or break a bad one. I still contend they may not be easy, but one thing that resonated with me is the idea we don't have a habit problem, we have a systems problem. By consciously building our new habits into our routines, it makes it easier once we practice the new routine enough. The other thing that resonated with me is practice. Practice, practice, practice. Much easier to accomplish, much easier to talk about than to accomplish some days for sure. The thing is, the more we do it, the easier it becomes until we don't have to think about it any longer, and it just becomes part of the routine. This applies to personal habits, work and career, and a whole host of other things. So what do you want to change? What sparks your interest enough to investigate, plan for, and begin? Having someone you are accountable to can be helpful. One of many tools available to us all. Over the course of my life, I've been pretty good at taking care of people, family, customers, friends, people in my community. Service was and is a defining value for me. It's always been a bit of a drug, too. And I've lived off the satisfaction of knowing I was giving a part of myself to the greater good. The occasional pats on the back didn't hurt either. Yay me, right? As long as I was giving, it was great until I wasn't or couldn't. So basically, for the last 2 months, I've been on the sidelines due to some health issues, watching, healing, and with Patty's help, caring for myself. There were days of frustration, depression, loneliness, and a sense of loss related to living in the unknown. It was difficult to focus, and much of the time, all I wanted to do was sleep or binge watch bad TV. I found myself thinking way too much. I should be doing something, and I shouldn't feel the way I do. Tired, exhausted, unmotivated. I should be more focused and productive, like reading a book or studying. I should be doing something to prove my worth. Or one of my favorites, I should just suck it up and get on with it. None of that was true. Yet the more I felt that way, the more I told myself those stories, the worse I felt, perpetuating all the yucky feelings and emotions. And the worse I felt, the less motivated I was to do anything about it. The most difficult part of the whole ordeal was the things that I planned and wanted to do that I just couldn't. Case in point, the group coaching experience I was planning to launch. As a solopreneur, I didn't have a backup plan to support my people. If I was out or otherwise unavailable, nothing happened. So launching a new coaching experience and then not being able to, for who knew how long, was not good for me or for my people. So group coaching got kicked to the curb for now. I also advertised a book club, but I couldn't begin that either. No new videos recorded for my YouTube channel. Of course, it's possible to revisit all of those things. Yet dealing with the disappointment and shame of not performing and not following through was indescribably painful. It didn't feel good. When I was running an internet business in the early 90s, we spent a ton of money and effort in building network redundancy so our customers wouldn't miss out and lose service when network outages occurred. It didn't happen all that often, but when they did, our phones immediately blew up. We had business and retail customers who were depending on us. Network outages occurred because of equipment failure, network disruptions, and any number of circumstances, many beyond our control. Someone might cut a fiber line at a construction site. Next thing we knew, we didn't have internet service. A piece of equipment at the telecom's network operations center might fail. No service. One of our routers might crash and need to be replaced. Our power could be disrupted because of an electric company issue, or once again, no internet. I remember one night at our office, the power went out. As it turned out, a significant part of the region had no power. But because we had a backup generator, ours was the only light on as I looked down the street. I took responsibility to provide reliable service very seriously, and we sacrificed some profitability to do everything we could to support our customers' access. I remember the day the Twin Towers were hit. CNN and Fox News sites both crashed because they couldn't keep up with the demand, and we had customers calling us and asking why we were blocking. But granted, no amount of redundancy on our part would have made a bit of difference. But perception is reality for many. If I can't watch what I want when I want it, it must be the provider's fault. Like many businesses, most customers had no idea what goes into providing them service. But they wanted what they wanted when they wanted it. And so the expectation was, from a customer perspective, we would do whatever it took to provide the service they were paying for. I don't know if y'all remember the Christmas bombing of the AT&T facility in Nashville a few years ago. Oh, I felt for them. Because that was clearly not something within AT&T's control, but it impacted thousands of customers and cost the company a great deal. My point here is that I'm not perfect. And as much as I want to provide people with the best I have to offer, it's probably never going to be perfect. The same holds true for you. When you work to improve your habits, there's a certain amount of grace involved because it's likely you're never going to get to that point of perfection. Well, that's not to say we can't or shouldn't strive for excellence. We absolutely can. And when we don't get there or something comes up, we can and should allow ourselves some grace and get back up and keep moving forward. The only failure any of us should legitimately own is when we quit altogether. We can choose to change course, move in a different direction, and keep getting better. Quitting is not an option, at least for me. How about for you? What do you want to change in your life? What is it that motivates you and moves you to action every day? If you're stuck or not sure, I can help. Schedule a consult call, and let's see if we can get that car of yours in gear and moving in the direction you want. I'm thinking about y'all today. You are valued, you are loved, you matter. And remember, life's too short. Be kind, do good. Let's talk soon.